Jessica Barnes was a 32-year-old freelance writer who had just moved to the quaint yet quiet suburban neighborhood of Magnolia Heights. With its picturesque streets lined with tall oak trees and picket fences, it was the perfect place to escape the chaotic bustle of downtown. She had always felt safe there until that particular February night. Jessica sat curled up on her living room couch, editing an article about local legends for an online magazine. The fireplace crackled softly in the background, and a steaming mug of chamomile tea sat untouched beside her laptop. Outside, a chilly breeze rattled the branches of the oak trees. The neighborhood was eerily silent except for the occasional rustle of leaves. At around 11:45 p.m., her phone buzzed. She glanced at the caller ID, unknown number. Jessica usually ignored such calls, but something compelled her to pick up this time. "Hello," she answered hesitantly. There was silence on the other end, then faint breathing. "Hello? Is anyone there?" she repeated, irritation creeping into her voice. The breathing abruptly stopped, and a distorted whisper followed. "Are you alone?" Jessica's heart skipped a beat. Before she could respond, the line went dead. She stared at her phone, unsettled. It was probably a prank call. Deciding not to dwell on it, she returned to her work. Around 12:15 a.m., just as Jessica was about to shut down her laptop, the doorbell rang. Startled, she froze. Who would be visiting at this hour? Her heartbeat quickened as she approached the door. Peeking through the peephole, she saw nothing but darkness. No visitor, no car on the driveway. Must be a neighborhood kid playing a late-night prank, she thought. Jessica opened the door slightly and peered out. The cold wind bit at her skin, and the streetlight cast long shadows across her front yard. "Hello," she called out. No response. Shivering, she quickly shut the door and locked it. At 12:45 a.m., Jessica was brushing her teeth in the bathroom when she heard it. The faint sound of footsteps on the gravel outside her window. Her hand froze mid-brush. She strained to listen. The footsteps stopped. Jessica's pulse raced. She tiptoed to the window and pulled back the curtain ever so slightly. The yard was empty. No sign of movement. Maybe it was just an animal, she reasoned, though her gut told her otherwise. Determined not to let paranoia get the better of her, she double-checked all the locks and headed to bed. At 2:30 a.m., Jessica was jolted awake by the sound of glass shattering. Her heart pounded as she reached for her phone on the nightstand. She dialed 911, her hands trembling. 911, what's your emergency? The dispatcher's calm voice came through. Someone's trying to break into my house, Jessica whispered urgently. Stay on the line, ma'am. Officers are on their way. Can you see the intruder? Jessica crept to the edge of her bedroom door and peered down the hallway. The living room lights flickered ominously. No, she whispered, but I heard glass breaking. Suddenly, a chilling voice echoed from the living room. Jessica? Her blood ran cold. He knows my name, she whispered into the phone. Stay hidden, ma'am. The officers are almost there. The dispatcher reassured her. Jessica pressed herself against the wall, her breathing shallow. The voice called out again, closer this time. Come out, wherever you are. Her mind raced. She needed a weapon. Grabbing the heavy metal lamp from her nightstand, she clutched it tightly. Suddenly, the sound of police sirens pierced the night. Red and blue lights flooded the front yard as officers surrounded the house. Jessica heard heavy boots pounding on the porch. Seattle PD, come out with your hands up, an officer commanded. The intruder's footsteps retreated toward the back door. Jessica mustered her courage and ran to the living room, just in time to see a dark figure slip out through the shattered window. Two officers chased after him, while another approached Jessica. Are you hurt? He asked, his voice steady. She shook her head, still in shock. By dawn, the police had secured the scene. The intruder had escaped, but they assured Jessica that patrols would be increased in the neighborhood. As she sat on the porch, wrapped in a blanket, one of the detectives approached her. "We found something," he said, handing her a crumpled piece of paper. Jessica unfolded it with trembling hands. Scrawled in messy handwriting were the words, "You can run, but you can't hide." Her stomach churned. The detective placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "We'll catch him. Stay vigilant, and call us if anything seems off." Jessica nodded, though she knew sleep would be a distant memory for a long time. Every time she heard the wind rustle the leaves or a faint creak in the house, her heart would race, reminding her of the terror she had faced. Magnolia Heights was no longer the picture-perfect neighborhood it once was. It was a place that had forever changed her. If you're still reading, please subscribe for more captivating stories.